Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important notice.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the podcast, Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored. I'm your host, Tara, and I'm joined by my co-host, Amanda. And today we have a special guest, Lauren Hill. She is the Secretary of the Board of Directors for BTSADV. And today we're diving into 3 cases that expose the deep failures within our legal system and society, too, when it comes to protecting our survivors of abuse. We'll start with the horrifying case of Kimberly Sullivan, a Connecticut stepmother accused of holding her stepson captive for over 20 years. It's a shocking example of prolonged abuse that went unnoticed. And then we'll move on to Lisa Moss and the controversial Oklahoma law that punishes survivors who seek help from others to escape abuse. And finally, we'll discuss New York case of a mother who lost custody of her children to their abusive father despite the history of domestic violence. So each of these cases force us to ask, right? How do these failures keep happening? And what needs a change? So we want our listeners to be a part of the conversation. So join us in the discussion, put in your comments, interact with us. We love to hear your opinions. But before we begin, we want to thank our affiliate, Opus Clips, for helping us expand our reach. Opus Clip is an AI-powered tool that transforms long-form videos like this podcast into short, engaging clips, and it makes it easier to put it across all kinds of platforms and amplify the conversations that we have, like the ones we're having today, right? So if you're a creator or an advocate looking to maximize your impact, check them out. Start sharing your message more effectively. So that's at Opus Clips. If you go there, www.opus.pro/?via equals BTSADV 25. And the link's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and it will be in the descriptions as well. And you help support us whenever you sign up for Opus Clips an account under our referral link. So please do that. So ladies, on February 17th of 2025, after decades of reported abuse, starvation, isolation, the 32-year-old victim sets fire to his bedroom, right? We saw that all in the news, despite, what was going on with him, in a desperate bid to escape. And first responders arrive, right? They find him malnourished, just 69 pounds at like 5'9". He's in horrible conditions and allegedly kept there for years with no outside intervention. So Kimberly Sullivan, who is now 56, oh my goodness, she's my age. I hate to say that. My goodness, what's wrong with her? Has been charged with first-degree assault and second-degree kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and reckless endangerment. And she denies all the charges, right? And she's currently out on bond. This case raises crucial questions, right? About failures in the system, the physical impact of prolonged abuse, the legal responsibilities of law enforcement, social services, the community as a whole. So how does this abuse continue undetected? That's the first thing we want to tackle. I'd love to hear your opinions there in the chat. How do you think that it took 2 decades before anybody noticed this kind of abuse, and what your thoughts are as to how do we prevent this from happening again. So, and put that down in the chat there, and connect with us. So let's start, Lauren and Amanda. What are the environmental factors that bring on such a thing happening and nobody detects it, right? What are your thoughts, Lauren?
I think it could be undetectable because of the facade of the environment. Because if you're living what you call the white picket fence type neighborhood, and it's a safe neighborhood, nothing bad happens, and also there's this idea whatever happens in this house happens in this house stays in the house, right? So you wouldn't know what's going on because when they walk outside, they look like the perfect family, the perfect couple. Um, and then when they talk to the neighbors, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But then but think if you don't think anything of it, say, well, why would I come over your house? And you're like, well, my house is a little dirty, but when I get it cleaned up, I'll let you come over.
Right.
But if they put on this mask and this facade to blend in, they're like chameleons. They literally are chameleons. Like they just, how they blend in with their surroundings. That's pretty much what it would look like. And so you wouldn't detect any type of abuse. So you wouldn't detect any type of issues or troubles that's going on there because either they're quiet,
Mhm.
they blend in with the neighborhood, they're being nice to you because you probably often think, but when they're with me, they don't seem that way. True. And they could be the nicest person to you, but you're not the closest thing to them, you know? And that they put on this in manipulation is something that they use as like in their toolbox.
Right.
Manipulation, gaslighting, that like if you ever notice people that are like that, they have like a toolbox of what to do, of what tools to use. So no one will really know what's going on behind closed doors, if you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
so they really just blend in. They're chameleons. And that they they seem so sweet. They seem so nice. Okay. Or be like, oh, that couple, they look so beautiful together. They look like they're meant for each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
you, you don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I know. And yet, like, Amanda, that means if he's 32 years old, because we're talking
Mhm.
about a woman who is my age with a son that is the age near the age of my daughters. Well, is the age
Mhm.
of one of my daughters.
Mhm.
If he's 32, that's 20 years. He's 12 when he disappeared and locked up. How does somebody not notice that, Amanda?
And that's extremely hard for me to even think about because I have a 12-year-old. I have a
Yeah.
12-year-old son. And I couldn't imagine, like, and I literally, as a mother, not thinking of just him being misused, but him not being cared by the world if he went missing, if he just disappeared. Like, that to me, like, if he stopped going to school, stop doing certain things, stop doing sports, stop seeing family members, stop seeing friends, why would no one be questioning? I'm sorry. Why would no one be questioning that?
Yeah.
Like, he matters. And he's a child. And as adults and communities and teachers and people who are interacting with these children, you are also supposed to notice changes, and they didn't notice. And I believe what happened was, and the mother has come out and started speaking, and the biological mother started speaking, and the aunt,
Mhm.
she gave custody up to this child a long time ago to the biological father and the stepmother. And I believe what they did was they isolated him from the world. And that's how they were able to keep this a secret for so long. Um, and it's hard. But again, as a community, how are teachers not asking questions? How are, if they're going to church, why are youth group, leaders, people with certain things saying, why is this child not around? Even
Mhm.
friends, parents of friends, why aren't they coming outside no more? Why? It's just like he stopped and people didn't care anymore. And that's scary.
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree because I've been working in the education field for over 10 years. And one thing we've been taught to notice is when a child is not themselves or a child just disappeared
Mm-hmm.
or there's something altering.
Hmm.
Now, there's some teachers, they be like, oh, okay, it's just another child. But then there's some teachers, some educators that's been in this arena for a long time, and we can tell when a student's not okay. We can tell. And so when a child just disappeared, that's concerning to us. I say that now. That if one of my students just stop talking, stop communicating, I'm constantly communicating, I worry because things happen. Things happen. And you wonder,
Yes.
did the community notice anything? Did you ask it's like this. I grew up in the neighborhood where we nosy.
Yeah.
Okay? We nosy. And so and we want to know what's up because we don't like that suspicious stuff down here in our neighborhood. That's how we roll. And
Yeah.
so, because if math ain't mathing, guess what? We'll be Inspector Gadget and start figuring things out on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to children, their safety is they're they expect us to keep them safe. That is the number one priority here.
Yeah.
As adults, we're supposed to keep them safe. We're supposed to show them love. We're supposed to make sure that they have well nourishment and have good well-being, that they're happy, whole, healed, healthy. But that's what a child expects that from us because as birth, that's what they're used to seeing. But if they're not used to that and they're used to constant, not just abuse, but manipulation, gaslighting, and they're gonna truly believe that's what love is. And guess what? It may not come from their immediate family. And sometimes teachers, if they're not alert enough, you better find the cues and find them quick.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's see what some of our people are in here saying. Audrey says, let's see. I think even if they didn't notice that it's possible that they did not want to get involved. It's a little close to home. Yeah. So what is it that makes people just don't want to get involved?
I think they're
Honest.
scared of getting hurt.
Yeah. I think it's also retaliation.
Mhm.
I've heard that a lot of people in incident domestic violence situations. Even I've had my dad tell me a story where he got involved and his life was threatened, and that altered the way that he handled it for the rest of his life. So I think that's even if it's close to your home, you're afraid if that person finds out they're going to mess with you, or and then some people really just have that that's not our business. That's not our
Mhm.
business mentality. They really, I mean, it is. And so I agree with Audrey. A lot of people back off for those reasons.
I think
Absolutely.
it's I think it's because for one, they're scared of getting hurt because too many cases I know here in Texas, especially in Houston, when a person tries to escape, here comes the abuser, and you don't know if they have a weapon on them.
Yes.
That's another
Mhm.
Yes.
case you have to look at.
Yeah.
And then I agree with Amanda. They don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
That's not my business. I'm gonna stay in my lane. But you can't use the mentality. I'm just gonna sweep it under the rug because every time you sweep stuff under the rug, that dust will eventually come back out.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I don't care how many times you sweep it under the rug. And guess what? Every time you pile in more dirt, you don't, that pile is going to be noticeable.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think, and then also I think revenge because some people think that because there's a sense of jealousy because when the abuser has this idea that when you call for help, there's like, I'm the one you're supposed to be calling for help,
Mhm.
and it's like, hold on, why are you asking other folk for help?
Mm. Yeah. Let's see. We're going to look at some more comments real quick. Jim says they really do lead two separate lives. Misty said someone had to notice. That's my thing. Who and somebody had to have
Someone had to.
noticed.
I mean, the boy was using straws out the window to get rid of his waste. Straws out the window to get rid of his waste. I mean, no one
I'm
was
just
like
oh, go
seeing
ahead. I mean, I'm
anything
sorry.
off. Like they were never having work done on the house. Like that to me too. Like you never had maintenance come in. You never had someone come in and fix something. You never, you know what I mean? For over those many years, you never had people, even a party, or even if they're antisocial, you have to have someone in your house in between those years. You had to. And no one, I just,
Yeah. Yes.
I'm I- I'm thinking along the lines what Amanda you said and what you said, Tara. I'm 34 years old. So I'm putting myself in this boy's shoes. I'm 12. I'm in middle school. I'm in sixth grade.
Yeah.
yes.
So I'm not fully understanding. Like I just got out of elementary school. So I'm fresh out of
Mhm.
elementary school. And middle school age, that is a difficult age because you're trying to figure out who you are as an adolescent, if that's the best way to put it. Not as a teen, not as a young adult, as an adolescent. And that you trying to figure it all out. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to
Yeah.
figure it all out. So at 12 years old, this is your normalcy
For 20
for
years. Yeah.
for 20 years. This is your
20
norm,
years.
and you grew up. This is what's in your mind, embedded in your mind. And I'm wondering, how did this boy cope with all, like, I'm just wondering because at 12 years old, I'm still trying to figure out what life is as an adolescent because you got puberty, you got trying to find out where you fit in. So think about it, when he's out, guess what? He still got that 12-year-old mind still.
Mhm.
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 Cuz he's trying to figure
Absolutely.
out, not as a kid, but as an adult, how do I fit in into this new world? That's what I'm thinking in my mind.
Yeah. And yes. And the world is so different from when you were locked up compared to. Can you imagine coming out 20 years later? That is unreal. Proverbs 31 woman says she is out of jail. Yeah, she's out of jail on bond right
I'm
now.
on, which I don't
Hey.
even know how she was able. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. How did
Yeah.
she get bond?
Mm-mm,
I
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And Audrey says they they could have easily lied and it would be believable because they were in broken marriages. Oh, he's at mom's. Oh, he's at dad's. I'm sure a bunch of that went on. I'm sure.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. It is tragic. It is tragic. So let's talk about what's the role of the system, right? At what point should somebody be interfering? What point should the police be called? So other people out there that they think they see something similar, of course things ain't going to be quite that tragic, but you don't there are cases, there'll be other cases. There'll be others. So, what's the role of us as society and law enforcement? When should we intervene, Lauren?
Honestly, of course, when it comes to police, they often have to say we got to collect enough credible evidence to make a valid case. I can understand that. But as someone who's been in the education field, I truly believe in documentation, documenting what's going on, what's the attitude changes, what seems to be we, and then I have this thing called spirit of discernment, and a lot of my friends and family know about spirit of discernment. And when my spirit of discernment radar kick start like just going off, like it's like horns just blasting, because when things are just not at, it's just but it's like this: you have a sixth sense that something is not right.
Right.
But oftentimes you gotta have documentation,
Mhm.
because with dates, times, locations, what happened at this moment. Because if you collect enough evidence, because if you go by he say, she say, guess what? It's my word against theirs. But
Mhm.
if you wrote it down in black and white, that says a whole lot. And so in that tells you what's up. And then of course I do wellness check-ins. I agree with Misty. Just check, because I do wellness check-ins on my students, even though it's virtual. But I do wellness check-ins because it's like this. Yeah, I'm nosy. Yeah, I'm nosy.
Yeah.
Because if my student is not okay, that alerts me. And then I'm watching the dynamic.
Mhm.
And then I report it to authorities like, yo, this is some not right. And and then keeping a child so isolated, it's like, mm-mm. So that's why I said, we as communities, this is what neighborhood watch is all about. I still believe in neighborhood watch out here. You hear me? Because
Mhm.
we need to find out, is in order to, I understand we don't want to get to know our neighbors, but at the same time we do need to get to know our neighbors.
Yes, you
Because
do.
number one, you don't know what's going on. You got to know what's going on. Number two, you can discern if what kind of neighbor they really are. And I'm talking about State Farm is there, like a good neighbor type thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but as communities, in order to protect our children, we have to have that sixth sense, especially as you two as mothers, y'all can sense when y'all child is not all right.
Mhm.
Oh,
Y'all,
absolutely.
it's like y'all got. My mother will tell you, when I tell her all the time, she got a direct line to God that I can't touch, and so when she knows that something not right with me, she would call me in a minute. But even though I haven't had children yet, I've worked with students so long that I know when something's not right,
Mhm.
and that I ask questions. I ask questions. I'd be
Yes.
like, "How you doing? How was your day? Do you need anything? Have you had dinner yet? Have you had your water intake today?" That's what I ask my students. I ask family and friends this because guess what? Again, I'm nosy, but I'm taking a mental intake in my head and I'm writing stuff down to know, because I'm trying to see how you really are doing. And you can be telling me the truth, or you could be lying to my face.
Mhm.
So I say, I don't see nothing wrong with going back to the old school by having a neighborhood watch. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I know back in the day, that may be old school, but that's the only way to keep our neighborhood safe out here. That would be my input on it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got in the comments. Misty said one complete well check of the whole house could have changed everything. I agree.
Exactly.
And Jim says that, we should get involved when credible suspicion occurs. I agree with that.
Oh yeah.
And definitely. So, absolutely. So, right now, that was a really good discussion. We're going to move on to our next topic. But before that, we're going to have a brief word about our store on our website with BTS, and we'll be right back.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t-shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to subscribe to future episodes. Thank you. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now.
And we're back. We are back. Yay. And just so you know, like in the store here, I'll move back. This is our new shirt. Amanda's sporting one of our new shirts that help support us. Check them out. I really love this one. So there are some other great
And
ones.
they're really comfortable.
Yes, I love
They're
them.
really comfortable material.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to get on to our next topic. So in 1990, Lisa Moss, she was convicted of first-degree murder after her brother Richard Wright shot and killed her abusive husband Lanny Moss. And Lisa had endured years of severe physical and sexual abuse at the hands of her husband. And after discovering he had been molesting her daughter, she turned to her brother for help, of course. And what ended up happening is a tragic set of events that led to both Lisa and her brother being charged and convicted with murder. So Lisa's case remains largely ignored by the legal system for over 3 decades, but in 2024, her story became central to the creation of Oklahoma's Survivor Act, which is a law that allows survivors of domestic violence who were convicted of crimes directly related to their abuse to seek a reduced sentence or reconsideration of their convictions. So today we're going to dive into Lisa's story and the legal failures she experienced, and also how we can bring about legal reform for the future, right? So let's discuss that one. And how survivors' actions can be very, driven by desperation and understood and misjudged, especially within the system. Um, so Lisa Moss, right? It happened quite a while ago, but the big thing of what brought it back to the attention is this new law, right? So, in the comments, we'd like to see what you think. If you know this one, did the system fail Lisa because of her history of abuse? If you think so, write it in the comments and let us know. Should it be criminalized like this? What do you think? So, ladies, let's start with you, Amanda. So many domestic violence survivors are criminalized for defending themselves. And in this case, even Lisa didn't even do the crime. It was her brother, but she was convicted of like a conspiracy. What are your thoughts on that?
As a survivor myself, I think that's horrible. First and foremost, we go into flight or fight mode when we are going through situations, especially if we're talking to someone after we've had an incident of being abused, or especially for her case, if she had the shocking revelation that her daughter is being touched. She went to her brother. We have certain people in our lives or our family that we feel safe with. And for her, that must have been her brother, especially for a woman being abused, because we don't go to men unless we feel 1,000,000% safe with them. And I think a lot of women can contest to that. So to me, that tells me that was her safe person, right? And
Right.
he reacted. She is not responsible for the reaction of someone else's choices and decision, unless she literally was like the plot to hire, as we hear about some that was not that. It wasn't. There was no motive, there was no like plan, there was no I need you to go kill him. There was nothing of that. She went to her brother and she was scared. And I know that the moments of my being afraid I just wanted him to go away and leave me alone. That's all I wanted. So, and that maybe been its terminologies that she said. And it doesn't mean I want him to go away forever. It means I just want him away from me. So there's so many terminology and things that could be misconstrued in the way that she could even be talking to her brother. And I think in the legal system, when it's between family members, I couldn't see why they wouldn't see that it's her brother. She didn't go to like some random guy. She didn't hire someone. She didn't like call even an ex-boyfriend or, lover's quarrel. It was her brother and her, and that's his sister and niece,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that was way too much, and that's why women don't report, because we're always afraid that it's gonna flip on us.
No, I agree. I agree. I spoke before a woman's prison once, and before I did so, I did a lot of research on women in prison and what lands them there. And what I found out was so shocking that like 67% of women in prison have a domestic violence background associated with whatever they've been convicted in. Either they're defending themselves or they are victims. There's certain aspects of whatever is going on in their lives, even those who have stolen something because of something that was related within a domestic violence relationship. 67%, that is huge. And the other thing that really stood out to me was that the women who were sentenced for whatever they were convicted for, 3 times longer a sentence compared to their male counterparts. And so it's so disparaging. But yeah, does this, like, Lauren, do you think this law, though, was the solution to this, to help this? I know it's very well intended, but is this the solution?
If it's not a solution, it's a start. I can say that because I think, I'm not even going to say I think, I know they're starting to wake up. That's the thing. I think communities, neighborhoods, families, friends, they're waking up.
Mhm.
And it has to start somewhere.
Right.
It may not be the end result, but it's a start. And I believe that this law is going to open up a door for a lot of women out there. Not just women, even probably men. But I'm just saying, because I can only imagine what that woman was thinking. I can only imagine. Because you already coming at me, but when you come after my child, now you barking up the wrong tree. And so this woman went to someone that she felt she can trust, that not going to judge her. That's the part that some people don't really understand. How often, as victims and survivors, we are often judged,
Mhm.
and we have to carry on. And like we all, it's already enough that we carry guilt, embarrassment, all that, but carrying on that judgment, that weighs us very heavily. And so for her to step out of her comfort zone and trust somebody who she knew wasn't going to judge her on what's going on, and all he thought, but the thing about it is he was doing out of protecting.
Yeah.
He went in protective mode.
Yes, he did.
And anybody, and she probably thought, I can't protect her like I need to protect her at this moment because I thought I was, but I know somebody who can protect her for real.
Mhm.
But for her to take the fall for that, for protecting your child, no, and she didn't have nothing, she ain't map on no plan. She ain't had no plot. She didn't give that indication. Because all she was thinking about was protecting my child and setting us free. That's all she had on her mind. And
Yes.
y'all thinking by association, this is what she deserved without even asking. But of course they probably said, well, you could have reported to police. It's hard to report when somebody knows how to manipulate very well and be convincing at the same time. It is so hard to come forward to tell our stories, and but they don't know that's just the first step to survivorship. This is not no 10-step program. This is a long journey up a stairwell, and this is not no easy stairwell. So I think this law, if it's not the resolution, I think it is the start of showing that, before y'all start making judgmental calls, ask the person why this happened. Yes, you may not have reported it because we are petrified with fear. And we worrying about if we're gonna live or die. But in her case, she worrying about not just herself, but she worrying about her child too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's just, I think with this law, this should bring some, not even, and I'm gonna say green is the new thing, is green flags. This should bring some green flags to open the door for any victim or survivor to say, hey, it's time to start talking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Amanda, do you want to point out what some of our comments?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a great I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get to Jim's comment here. He goes, I believe there is a time and place for action, even violent action. When people are in authority don't act, we are sometimes left with no choice but to protect our own. I think the powers that to be left both her and her brother down they let her and her brother down in a huge way, not to mention the child. This law may help, time will tell.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
yeah, it's I'm hoping other states will kind of take a look at this law. They don't exactly have to implement it or something similar, but start from the beginning. Let's when the incident is happening and they're starting to even charge somebody, these considerations need to happen then. It doesn't need to happen afterward.
no, we
And
need yeah.
yeah, we need the system to start recognizing those
We
things.
need immediate action because it shouldn't have to take more than 30 years for them to wake up and smell the Folgers and find out that y'all didn't know this woman's history.
Right.
Y'all didn't connect the dots. Y'all didn't, but of course they're gonna say, well, she didn't report it. Have I ever thought about she was so scared to report it because this person may have threatened to kill her if
Hmm.
she would have reported it? Have
Right.
you have you ever thought about what was told, what kind of barriers, how broken she may have been, how depressed she may have been, what kind of struggles she may have had? You really you cannot make a judgment call. I tell this to any of my friends, even my students. I'm not here to judge because that's not my ministry. I'm here to hear your story because if I judge, guess what? You're going to judge me too. And you don't know me. And so we have to create not just a space, but an opportunity for any of our brothers and sisters in DV to to be noticed, if that's the best way, because we can because guess what, our voices are muted. We are literally like fish in a fish tank. and we are screaming and no one is hearing us.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have to take this long. It should be more initiatives, like I said, state by state, county by county,
Mm-hmm.
and have resources next to that to say, I hear you, I see you. How can I help you? How can I support you? Because it's we, as us three know, was it easy for us? Not by a long shot. Not
Mm-mm.
by a long shot. And we had to handle things like literally on our own. Of course, we had support, but we still felt alone.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, our listeners out there, pop into the chat. Do you think courts should factor in long-term psychological effects of domestic violence when they're sentencing survivors? Let us know your thoughts in there, and at the end of this conversation, I want to discuss just a little bit of what kind of role does PTSD play in survivor-related criminal cases. What do you think, Amanda?
Oh, very, very heavy. PTSD plays a heavy impact on survivors, which can tie into reactive abuse. So as we see, so many times these women snap. It's not their character, it's not their morals, but it's something they can no longer endure. And I believe that the courts should take into well is when handling these women, that these women have endured so much trauma and so much different kind of manipulation and fear, as we said, and be told not to talk, and retaliation, and even bad experiences with cops, that when we go into a courtroom with survivors, there needs to be a little bit more of appreciation for them and their situations, and not make them feel like they're the victim while they're sitting in there fighting for their lives and doing what's right, to rally. Because I know in my situation, there was times where I felt like I was the one at wrong. I was the one that made that. And I'm looking at these people who are supposed to be helping me, and I'm going, I don't understand what I did wrong. I did everything that I thought you were supposed to do when you were in trouble. So we really have to understand these women will be scared. They will back out on some of the statements they're saying. They will have selective memory because of the abuse, not because they're lying. Because, again, when you're in that fight or flight mode, your 3 parts of your brain is only working and there's one shut off. So you got to give these women grace that they are not in there being manipulative to these. Because I've heard, you're lying. I've been told by a cop, you're lying. You didn't tell me that, or certain things. And it's not. We just, again, are so, even in that incident, if you talk to us the night of the incident, we're going to be so overwhelmed, so out of our minds, scared. And then we're talking to you, who is a man wearing a gun on your side, who is authority. So we're scared. So we might sound different the first night, but when we're talking to you later in a clearer mindset, know the difference. Know the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren, would you like to add to that?
I'm gonna give you honesty. As a person who has PTSD, who has it, people really don't know. And be honest with you, I was in denial that I had it because the only way I found out was through therapy and counseling. And I thought maybe because I was having a bad day, maybe because I was hormonal. That's what I thought it was. Until I recognized the episode. And part of PTSD is we don't trust at all
Yeah.
because we put our trust in someone that we believed was love. And because that trust, the vulnerability was broken, we don't trust nobody.
Mm-hmm.
We don't trust nobody. And our anxiety is on 10.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, and guess what? It's not out of disrespect, but because we're going through a million things at once.
Mm-hmm.
and when we, and if you ever notice, when you finally come down from your PTSD episode, your whole body feel like it went to a boxing ring and no one has hit you.
Ooh, yes. Those PTSD hangovers.
Mhm.
It is.
They're
It is.
real. PTS the
They're
hangover is real.
oh, real.
It is very real because it's almost as if you don't want to get out of, like, you got a headache, you're all weak, you might get a slight fever a little bit, like it's almost you got a cold a little bit. You don't want to get out of bed because you feel like your whole body is paralyzed. So imagine you trying to come down from that and you trying to make sense into it. Because when you have an episode and you snap back into reality, you trying to figure out what the heck just happened here.
Mhm.
You trying to figure out where you are. It's like you're cognizant that you are somewhere, but you trying to figure out where are you here. And that rests with your spirit.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, because you trying to figure out what the heck just happened. What who what? And then when you got people coming at you, it's like, hold on, I don't know you. Back. Give me 50 feet. Back up. Because I
Mhm.
don't know you. I need a minute. I need some water. I need something because y'all gonna get some more of this and y'all not gonna like what I might do or say.
Mhm.
So yeah, it affects us.
Oh yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
have PTSD, you don't know how long you've been there. You lost track of time. That's the part that it's like, do you really not understand? When an episode hits us, it takes us a while to come down, and it's not an adrenaline rush, not even close. This is what you call when you've been so broken and so beaten down and bruised and battered for so long. And I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about here.
Totally. Yes.
I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
here in
Mhm.
your hearts, in our spirits, to the point we don't trust you. We don't know what your intentions are. We don't know what your motives are. That's what our mind. These are the questions. We may not say it in front of you, but we got so much running in our heads because we trusted somebody that we thought was love, and now, yeah, you're a stranger to me. If you're trying to help me, I don't know if you're trying to help me for real or not.
Mhm.
I don't know you. It's like stranger danger, as the kids would say. So I don't
Mhm.
know.
And
And
then to trust the system on top of it? Are you kidding me?
no, but like there's the old saying, you gotta be patient with me. But you expect us to trust y'all of authority. But it's like this, where were y'all when all this was going down? It's hard to trust anybody, let alone a
Absolutely.
system that we don't know if it's gonna work with us or against us.
Yes.
Because we don't know. We can't, of course we can't predict the future because and that's where the fear of unknown kicks in. And
Mhm.
that's where our PTSD even kicks in even harder because we don't know what y'all about to do with us. We
Mhm.
don't know if y'all gonna think we lying to you or not. You we don't we could be as honest as we can to the point we're pulling our hair to let y'all know, hey, we are telling the truth and y'all not hearing us. And we have fought till we can't no more. And some of us, we are tired of fighting. When you get tired, I've been there. When you've been tired of fighting, you just throw up your hands and say, I'm done. Y'all can do whatever the heck y'all want. I don't care. Y'all can kiss it. Y'all not hearing me. So since
Yep.
y'all not gonna hear me, do whatever the heck y'all want. Because y'all don't really get to until y'all stop
Mhm.
and think. And I'm not talking about thinking in a logical sense,
Right.
not by your own thinking. Think if you were in that person's shoes.
Right.
And guess what? I don't care if the shoes don't fit. It is
Make it fit.
Make it fit.
make it fit.
Make it
You
fit.
better
Make it
look.
fit.
You better stuff them shoes. I don't care if you got a corn on your toe. You better stuff them shoes and feel it and
Yes.
walk in them shoes because just as much it hurt us, then you will know how much hurt, not even a tip of the hurt that we went through. You don't have a clue. So I think PTSD, it's like this. We already been beaten down. Now we're gonna get beat down by the system too, that just gave up on us. You know
Mm-hmm.
how crushing that is to us.
Oh,
And now
puts
we're
it
and just
from
it's about, and it's like we're almost reliving it all over again.
yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why
absolutely.
I even stopped at one point reporting and calling. I was like, we're both just going to have to, one of us is going to have to pass away for this to stop because you only can take so much.
Been called, what was it? I called it was a religious hotline. I can't remember, and they literally told me that I was wrong for leaving.
Mm-hmm.
That was not of God.
I was told that as well.
And I'm like,
And
how is that wrong? How is that not of God? And the person went to scripture. I said, so you mean to tell me I'm supposed to stay there and take this? And she said, well, you deserve it because you went against the will of God. I hung up.
Mm-hmm.
And that
It
really,
is not the will of God for you to be that kind of
absolutely
broken.
not. No,
Never.
never.
and that made me even not trust anybody after that. Because right, Misty, people don't really know spiritual abuse is
Israel.
real.
Oh,
It is
absolutely.
it is just as real as physical, just as real as mental, sexual, financial, spiritual abuse
Mm-hmm.
is very real because
We need to have you come back and we do a whole segment on that one, Lauren.
I,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you.
we don't
Uh,
spirit
oh,
when you
No,
crush
I
somebody's
get it.
spirit, when you
mm,
crush somebody's spirit, what you think? Jim funny. He said it
yes,
was
yes.
godly. You didn't
Yeah,
shoot him, right? 'Cause,
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's how you have to feel. But
Yes.
I highly recommend anyone to really find out what is PTSD is for any person that's been with any kind of abuse. Because guess what? We're like, and because when they're in that state, we're in limbo for a good little while.
Yeah.
So please research before you assume. Because when you assume,
Yes, we know.
hmm,
Mhm.
Yes. We're going to read a couple more comments and then we have one more topic. So, um, Jim said the laws that are created to protect women are often created by men. So, of course, they often do not work for women. You must be able to understand a fear to protect someone from it. PTSD appears, among other things, as a feeling of helplessness and fear. Absolutely. And then, let's see.
Jim is my homie.
I know.
Well, we'll make a shirt that says that. Jim is my.
Jim is my homie. I assume this is Veronica Clark. Powerful, unnecessary conversation. The justice system must do better in protecting survivors and ensuring real accountability. Thank you for shedding a light on this critical issue. Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Veronica.
right. So we're going to take another just real quick break with a little word, and then we're going to come back for one more topic.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. My name is Tara Woodlee, and I am the president of Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, an organization that gives survivors and their families, and the families that have lost loved ones to domestic violence, access to a community that understands the journey that they're facing. We hope this episode impacts you, and hopefully you want to learn more about the topic. If it is helping you in some way, let us know in the comments below. We love your feedback. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button below and the bell right next to it so that you can get notified the next time an episode premieres. We hope you will see us in the next episode, and thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors.
And we're back. All right, ladies. So this last one, in March of this year, there's a domestic violence case in New York City. It was dismissed due to a technicality arising from the state's discovery laws. The defendant, accused of severe abuse and sex crimes against his girlfriend, was released after the prosecutors failed to timely disclose a minor unrelated disciplinary record of an NYPD officer involved in the case. So this omission led to the case's dismissal, leaving the victim without any protection and necessitating her to relocate for her safety. So in 2019, discovery law reforms in New York required prosecutors to share extensive evidence with the defense attorneys within strict timeframes. Failure to comply, even with minor oversights, can result in case dismissals. And since this reform happened, dismissals of criminal cases have been notably increasing. The Manhattan District Attorney criticized the current laws, stating that they can deny justice and protection for victims. And advocates of domestic violence survivors have expressed support for Governor Kathy Hochul's proposed amendments to discovery laws. These changes aim to provide judges with more discretion, allowing them to access whether the prosecutor's failure to disclose certain evidence has genuinely prejudiced the defendant before deciding on dismissal. This proposal seeks to balance the rights of the accused with the need to protect the victim and ensure justice. The dismissal of the case has intensified debates over the unintended consequences of discovery law reforms, highlighting the challenges for prosecutors and the potential risk for victims when cases are dismissed on technicalities. So, ladies, I tell you what, this one has been something for quite some time. I've been watching this with these laws. So you have New York getting rid of and dismissing cases on these technicalities. Do you think, Lauren, judges should have more discretion to determine whether or not they can dismiss these cases, or do we need to just stand on due process?
Honestly, I don't think they need to be then there's be no discretion, because it's like this. If you really would see, I mean, with these technicalities and not enough evidence, can you? I understand that you gotta go by the book. Really, I do. But at the same time, can you go past that, please? Just go past it. Look, don't collect $200. Pass go. Okay, because you cannot. Because it's like this: when you make a judgment, you determine if you're gonna dismiss it or you're gonna keep it in the books.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, can you just really just think about this? Like, really think about this. Is this for the safety of the people, or y'all worrying about what the crowd's gonna say? And in this case, we've been hit. I mean, it's going to be difficult and challenging, and for any survivor to come forward, because they're going to truly believe the system is not my friend. The, and judges, I think the judges need to put a hammer on it. Like, I need more evidence because this is not adding up to me. This is not, why y'all not figuring this out? Because guess what? I'm putting somebody, letting this abuser out on the loose for
Mm-hmm.
him to do what God knows what. And that, and guess what? We feel like we failed by the system again.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
we're being picked.
Well, in this case too, it was discovery from the police officer that wasn't turned over. The fact that the police officer did not report certain things, and that was not put in there as discovery that affected this particular case to be thrown out. So it isn't even based off the victim.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
And to me, that's just horrifying.
But guess who's connected to it? Ain't got nothing. I don't know from this particular officer from a can of paint. But because he was involved, it got something to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? That means we're getting abused again, but not by the hands of our abuser. We're getting abused by the hands of the system because we trusted somebody that we thought was correct. It is very difficult to trust. That's the part that some people don't really understand. It's
Right.
hard for us, not just the outside world, but the system that's supposed to help us be free,
Mhm.
help us get our feet back on the ground. It's very difficult. And with technicalities like this, that should not be happening. If y'all gonna go by the book, be thorough at the same time. Every little detail needs to be accounted for.
Yeah.
Oh, not just on my end, but even y'all's end too. Because
Mhm.
any little detail will screw the case up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it just mm, it just astounds me that little technicalities like this. So definitely those who are watching, let us know your opinion. Are discovery laws helping or hurting the justice system and survivors in these cases? What are your thoughts? Amanda, do you think that things like this make it less likely for survivors to report?
Yes. Yes. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Again, I've had instances where, again, like to say, you poke the bee's nest, right? And
Mhm.
you're waiting for people to back you up when you poke this bee's nest, meaning your abuser. Okay, so you're going, okay, I went out, I got help. He now knows because he has these papers. If you're getting a PFA or there's a court order, and you're thinking that these people are going to stand behind you through the process, and then watching someone, as we see with this case, you failed, and then sorry, there's nothing more we can do, and then we can't protect you either, so you have to be responsible now for your own safety, for your own moving, for your own everything, because we screwed up, because we screwed
Yeah.
up. And that is a good way for some people to get blood on their hands as well. I mean, it's crucial. It's
Yeah.
so crucial. This is life or death. This isn't, and yes, this is gonna make women scared because, again, I understand, as Lauren said, there's technicalities in the law, but with domestic violence, it is not that easy. It is not like a criminal case that they're going to be handling. This is different, and there's way much more factors in it. And yeah, no, I think this is going to be very hard for some women.
There's got to be a way to strike a balance. Can we not protect the accused under discovery laws and yet protect the victims as well who are seeking
Yes.
justice? Because to me, it seems very disproportionate at this point. It
I
seems
agree.
like the accused gets more rights than the victim at this point.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we saw that with our daughter's case time and time
absolutely.
again. different things that
Absolutely.
they said, well, we can't serve them. We can't do this. We can't do that. Even though an officer heard him threaten her life, but yet they can't do anything about it. It astounds me that somewhere in this system it's got to be flipped. It's I am not saying that we take away an accused rights. Absolutely not, because there are people who are accused wrongly. But
Right.
there's got to be ways in the system that this can accommodate both. Yeah, keep our justice system flowing, but protect our victims out there.
I
So,
agree. And even Misty said DV is so much more delicate and needs more attention to details and true justice, not just service and brush off. I totally agree,
Yeah.
because this is not a subject that you just. I understand that this is not DV is not a conversation you have at the dinner table.
mhm,
I get that, but but there needs to be a conversation in our neighborhoods,
yeah,
period. It needs to be a conversation in the grocery store. It need to be a conversation in our schools. It need to be a conversation even in the college campuses. It need and show enough, and yes, I'm calling it out. It needs to be a conversation in churches, because we cannot have justice until we start talking.
mhm,
But on the other flip side of talking, the people got to be willing to have have effective listening before y'all have effective communication from us, because in order to God gave us 2 ears for a reason,
mhm,
and he was hoping y'all use both to listen, not just to hear, but to receive what we are trying to tell, for you to not only receive but understand that we are broken people. And I'm not just talking about broken people that come from here, there, everywhere. We're talking about we may came from great families, but the relationships that we chose broke us. And so
Mhm.
we're trying to get ourselves back together. And that when the law pretty much just saying bye and don't care, guess what that puts us back in? We thinking there's no hope for us, and like I said, that's a life or death situation, not just for our safety, for our family safety, but mentally we're thinking to ourselves, then why is this happening to me? And if you and I'm not trying to be deep, but look at the suicide rates in DV victims,
mhm,
because they're thinking this is not the life I want to live.
mhm.
We have to start talking, but the question is, when are y'all going to start effectively listening? That's a
Absolutely.
question.
Mhm. Yeah, there's got to be an action that can be taken publicly to push for lawmakers to make fairer policies, because um, these kinds of technicalities, people, they're just putting somebody back on the street again for him to continue to do that. She may go back instead of move away when these kind of things happen, because who else is going to protect her? Nobody. That's the message you just sent. Nobody. Might as
Basically.
well go back to him.
Right. Basically.
Yeah.
That's all you hear as a survivor too at some certain points when you keep going and you keep asking for help and it's shutting in your face. Your self-value goes down, your worth of wanting to even get help. And you just become kind of like, okay, this is my new reality. And
Mhm.
it's horrible.
All the
Horrible.
And
things
you
he said to me in my head, all those words, you will never get away. No one will believe
Yes.
you. No one
Believe
will
you.
help you.
Yes.
There, you know,
and you probably think I'm better off with this person than being
Yes.
around y'all, because
Yes.
that
Yes.
this is this, I'm telling you, you all know these. I'm telling to the people, these are the thoughts that come through our heads.
yeah.
Because let me, because we thinking let's bestow ourselves on a different person that we're supposed to trust to keep us safe. And then when you shut that door in our face, and after a while, we're gonna get tired of getting doors slammed in our face seeking help. And we're gonna be thinking, you know what,
Absolutely.
I'm better off over there where I
Absolutely.
was.
Oh, I
At least
agree. And yeah.
Better off with
it's
the demon you know.
thank you.
Exactly,
That,
then
that's
the one that you don't, it's predictable. It's
Yeah.
predictable, guys, and we know how to handle it. We know how to ride the waves. We know. And it doesn't make sense to people, but to us
No.
in that time, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, do you have any more comments you want to highlight real quick?
Again, just that with survivors and with reporting and being able to come into a community where we feel supported again. Just realize that we have been through a lot more than what people can understand, and we don't expect anybody to fully understand, but we do expect to be heard, to be respected, and to be treated like anybody else. And I think that's the huge stigma around this. We just want to be heard and want to feel accepted, especially when we are taking that step. So many people say, well, she's not leaving, but we leave and then we get rejected and we get put in dangerous positions. Our children get put in dangerous positions. We're sent back to our abusers, as Tara says, who's, oh, look what you just did. How'd that work for you? I mean, it's so much more. So when a woman has that courage to leave, grab her and run and believe her and support her, because as Audrey just said in all caps, we want the help.
Mm-hmm.
We want it. Keep
Mm-hmm.
fighting with us and be patient.
Mm-hmm.
We want it.
Yeah, and the system's got to do better for advocating for that.
Do
Absolutely.
better. Do
Absolutely.
better. Do
Do
better.
better.
Yep.
I'm going to highlight a couple of comments here. And says Audrey says case gets dismissed on technicality and then abusers hunt them down for taking them to court. Dangerous. I agree.
Yep.
Absolutely. And so we have some of our moderators chiming in saying so dangerous, even deadly. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jim says, I love it on this topic. Even when Lauren is not talking, her expressions talk. It's powerful. That's all right, Lauren. I'm in the same boat. And Misty says, knowledge is power. The change stats with knowledge. Absolutely. And that's why these conversations are so powerful and why we like to do them. So, well, ladies, it's been a great topic. So, wrapping up today's discussion, these three cases remind us of a painful reality out there. The systems meant to protect survivors too often fail. From horrifying captivity case in Connecticut to the unjust criminalization of Lisa Moss in Oklahoma, and the devastating custody battles in New York, we see how survivors are repeatedly ignored, punished, and left without options. But these conversations here, these are how we demand change. We need better laws, stronger protections, and a society that refuses to look the other way. If these cases have moved you, we encourage you to get involved, whether it means advocating for better policies, supporting survivors in your community, or simply staying informed and spreading awareness. We here at Break the Silence, of course, you see the scroll across the bottom. Donate to us to help us advocate for survivors as well. If you like what you're seeing and you want to help support our programs, please donate. We thank you for joining us at Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored. And if you found the conversation important, please like, subscribe, share this episode because more people need to hear these stories. The harder it becomes to ignore, the more we share them. So, uh, Amanda, who do we have next week for our guest?
I'm really excited that we are having Ronelle Golden come on, and she's going to be talking about her getting out guide for survivors and her experience from being a survivor to an advocate.
Awesome. Wonderful. Look forward to seeing y'all next time. And until then, stay informed, stay safe, keep breaking your silence, and let her rip. Thank y'all.